true commitments privileges to
Right, ladies and gentlemen, just ignore me, pretend this is coming over the PA. I'm just waiting for lights to come on. But in a minute, I'm going to ask you to put your hands together to clap me onto the stage. Is that alright? I mean, what a professional. You don't get this at live at the Apollo. What a professional. So just pretend I'm not here. Imagine you can't see me. And this voice is coming from beyond. And now by miraculous, the lights have come on when I didn't even ask them to, but that doesn't matter. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Guildhall. Put your hands together for your host, myself. That's lovely. Thank you so much. And we got the lights coordinated, and you're all sat here in reserve seating. Some of you look like you've fallen asleep already. Are those chairs comfortable? They look. Yeah, they look all right. And ladies at the back, you look really. Is this loud enough? Can you hear this at the back? Is that okay? Good. There's always one. So listen, thanks ever so much for coming out on a Tuesday night. Some of you won't know this, but back in 2006, I actually ran a gig here for 4 years called A Giggle at the Guild. So this is like coming back home. I've got to be honest, this is where I first started. And back in the day, we had the likes of Sarah Millican did a gig here in the early days. John Richardson did his second gig here. Gary Delaney did a gig here. I've stayed in Gloucester and nothing. I know, it's a shame, isn't it? But no, thanks ever so much for coming out and supporting this gig. So we thought we'd try and reintroduce it just on a Tuesday night, and we've got another, we've got a date in July, a date in September, and a date in November. And what we're trying to do is just have 2 headline style acts on. And tonight, honestly, you've got a real treat. I can't believe this pair have come down, but more about them in a little minute. So the format of the evening is going to be, I'm just going to chat to you for a little while, about 4 hours, and then we'll have your first act on, and then we'll have an interval, and then we'll have your second act on, and then we should be done by about 9:30. And looking at some of you, that might be past your bedtime. Way past your bedtime. And then we can all go home and do whatever it is we all do in Gloucester on a Tuesday night. That's making an assumption everybody is from Gloucester. So just by show of hands, who is from our fair city? Okay, and who's from somewhere else? Just by show of hands, not Mr. Field, just yourself and him. So where are you from, young man?
Originally Malvern.
Originally Malvern.
Yeah.
Okay, and whereabouts now?
Gloucester, just moved in.
You've just whereabouts have you moved to?
Matson.
Okay, let's hang on, whoa, Sandra, shut up. Let's right. Has he got our sympathies? Whereabouts in Matson do you live?
Opposite ski slope.
Yeah, I mean you're fine up there, aren't you? That's not the Bronx opposite the ski slope. The posh area. Yeah, no, you'll be safe-ish up there. Did you drive in tonight? Where have you parked? Yeah, it's the walk home you're going to suffer with, isn't it, really? So you're from Malvern originally, and now Matson.
Yeah.
I bet you're regretting that.
No, not yet.
Not yet. You've only been there a day, haven't you? That's what's happening. And who, this young man, where are we from?
Dursley.
Right, what do we think of Dursley? No, Dursley's okay.
Yeah, it's alright.
Dursley's, I was up at Camp Peak yesterday. That is, were you camping with the bluebells? I was there with my daughter. We may have passed. You were there with your daughter. This has just turned into a geography lesson. That's what's happening. Well, Dursley, you're fine. Yeah, you're more than welcome. And Malvern, Matson. Yeah.
It's too late now.
Come back in November and we'll see how you're getting on. That'll be alright. So apart from that, everyone else is Gloucester. Is that what? Nobody from that place we don't really like to talk about.
No one's going to talk about that, are they?
It's Cheltenham, isn't it? I've got to be honest. I didn't realise how bad Cheltenham people viewed us until a few years ago. And you might have remembered this, but there was talk of Gloucester being twinned with Cheltenham as a super city. And BBC Gloucester went out into the streets of Gloucester and interviewed some people, and they said, "What are your feelings on that?" And they were like, "Yeah, I think that could be a fantastic idea because they got the festivals and stuff, and we got history and culture. Be a good mix." They went to Cheltenham to try and find anybody who would be prepared to speak on the radio, and they found one person outside the Montpellier wine bar at 8 o'clock at night. And her response to the question, "How would you feel about Cheltenham being twinned with Gloucester?" just summed it up, I think, because she just said, "Ghastly." Bless them. It is unusual not to have anybody in from Cheltenham.
I'm from Cheltenham. I live in Cheltenham.
You live in Cheltenham, do you, Clive?
Yeah.
What, on the boat? How do you manage that on the boat?
No, I keep a boat somewhere else.
This is my friend of mine. He lives normally on a boat on the canal, so I wasn't quite sure. Because the last time I looked, there were no canals in Cheltenham. This is nice. This is a nice little gig. Because I've got to be honest, not all gigs are like this. I did a gig in Swansea a few weeks back, and I think the MC had just overdosed on Live at the Apollo. Because I was backstage, waiting to come on. And I heard him say, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go wild, clap your hands, stamp your feet, raise the roof, whoop and holler as we welcome to the stage the fantastic, brilliant Nik Hill." And I went out and there's 4 people sat there. God. There was 3, are you making your own jokes? There was 3 in the front row, like you, and then there was somebody behind, and it turned out it was a grandmother, the grandson, and the mother, and both ladies were distraught because the grandson was going in the army and they were really worried about it. Turned out he was just going as an administrator. So I said, "Well, you've got nothing to fear." Having said that, he's a good-looking boy, so I think actually he could be in danger of an assault from the rear. That didn't seem to quell their fears. So I left them alone. I moved on to the guy behind. I said, "So what's your name, mate? What's your story?" He said, "My name's Roger Moore." And I thought, "Oh yes, the comedy gods are with us." And then he said, "But I've got mental health issues, so I don't know what I'm doing here." I thought, I've got to leave you alone. And I did a gig in a little village near Cirencester, again a few weeks back. And I just went on, I said, "Oh hi, it's lovely to be here in Ashton Keynes." And straight away, this woman put her hand up. She was like, "Excuse me, I know it's spelled Keynes, K-E-Y-N-E-S. But here in the village, we prefer to pronounce it Keynes. Is that okay?" I went, "No, that's fine." Does make you sound like a bit of a pretentious cunt. That's spelled C-A-N-T, but I prefer to pronounce it. To be fair to her, it was good advice, because the following week I was doing a gig in Lechlade. That's lecturing for those that... I did that gig in Swansea, nothing fell on flat ears, because of course they didn't have a clue where Lechlade was. But... So I am from Gloucester, I've lived here all my life, and the one thing I've never done, but I am going to do it this year, I have never ever done the cheese roll. I know. And I'm in my 67th year on this planet, and I thought, you've got to give it a go. So I've been practicing. I've been rolling the baby bell down my drive. That's going well. But the cheese roll was banned, and then when it was reintroduced a few years ago, BBC Southwest were there, and they came up and they interviewed one of the winners, which was a young 15-year-old girl from Brockworth called Kylie. And they said, Kylie, you've entered the race and you've won. What would you like to say? And Kylie said, well, yeah, I did enter the race and I have won, and I'm very surprised. And they said, why were you surprised? And I thought, oh, Kylie, just say something profound. And what I was hoping she was going to say was something along the lines of, well, I left school at 13, all my teachers wrote me off, my friends' family said I never amount to much. I've already got 6 kids by 10 different dads. And I thought, do you know what, Kylie, this is your chance to shine, and I trained really, really hard. And I got to the top of that hill and I looked down and I could see my friends and family and teachers at the bottom laughing. I thought, you won't be laughing in a minute. And I threw myself off that hill and I just raced down after that cheese. I could have broke my neck, my arms, anything, didn't matter. I just wanted to prove a point that I was worth something. And I did. That's what I wanted her to say. What came out of Kylie's mouth to the question, why were you surprised, was simply this: I don't even like cheese. You can't make it up, can you? So I retired. I retired a couple of years ago. So I've just coming up to 2-year anniversary now of 24/7 with my wife. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that. And if you have, I want to know what you've been doing with my wife. We've just got to a stage, it's irritating stage, I probably would describe it as. Nothing major, the breathing. And if we're out in the car and we're coming up to a junction, I'll say, is it all right to go? If I want to turn right, she go, yeah. And as I'm pulling out, as long as you're quick. It has been a voyage of discovery, and what I've discovered in the past 2 years being with her is she has definitely missed her career in musical theatre. Because she can make a song and dance about absolutely anything. And what I didn't realise when I retired was it's obligatory, and looking around the room, just a show of hands, who are the retired people in the room? Yeah, there's them. Youngsters, have a look at all their smiley faces. Well, the ones that have got decent pensions. What I didn't realise was that it's obligatory, apparently, to spend 4 days out of 7 at your local garden centre. We go to Highfields, and we go there so often. I've got a loyalty card. And we went there last August on my birthday, and I just gave her the loyalty card, and she went, "Oh, congratulations." Sorry? She went, "Well, I'll just punch your details in. It's your birthday today, isn't it?" I went, "Yeah." She said, "Well, that's lucky, isn't it?" I said, "No, not really." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I'm 66 now. The average life expectancy for a male in the UK who is not morbidly obese is 81. So at best I've got 15 years left. So no, I don't think it is good luck." She said, "Well, it is, because now you qualify for one of our senior citizens discount cards." And I'm thinking, just fucking shoot me now. So I took this card. I said, "Is it going to cost me anything?" She said, No, it's free." I said, "What are the benefits of it?" She said, "Well, you get 40% off a roast lunch." Right, okay. And I'm walking back and I'm looking at this card, and she was right. You do get 40% off a roast lunch. Every Monday, served between the hours of 9:15 and 11:15 a.m. And I'm thinking, who the fuck eats a roast lunch every Monday between 9:15 and 11:15? Well, since last August. Listen, we've got a wonderful night ahead of you. Like I said, I'm so delighted these two have come down to entertain you tonight. We're going to have your first act on in a minute. And you can go wild, cheer, whoop, holler, do whatever it is you want to do. One thing I just would say is, if you can avoid going to the bar whilst the acts are on, that would be great. We're going to have an interval for 15 minutes, so you'll have plenty of time. If you need the loos, there's one out through that door, or you can go back out and then back up the stairs. So that's about it, really. Apart from that, just really enjoy yourselves. So are you ready for your first act of the evening?
Yes!
So on the count of 3, your first act is the wonderful Eddie Brimson. So please make him very welcome. 1, 2, 3, start clapping as we welcome.